podcast with two guys in their 20s giving their perspective on the games that we love, the headlines of pop culture, and the meaning behind it all. I'm your host, Wellington Burns, and my counterpart, Savon Morris. How's it going, man?
Yeah, man, it's another day, another dollar, huh?
Another day, another dollar. Regular routine.
Yeah, for sure.
And for this episode, we have a lot of topics to get into tonight, as always. Obviously, some NFL topics, college football, college basketball just started a few days ago. NBA topics, some album reviews in the second half. We're gonna do a review of Fruitvale Station, but to start off with just thoughts on a thrilling Minnesota Buffalo game and kind of also analyzing the critical Josh Allen turnovers. Minnesota won 33-30 in overtime, and Peterson intercepted Josh Allen with 1:12 left in overtime in a sloppy yet kind of thrilling back and forth game. Minnesota also rallied from a 17-point second half deficit, and looking at this game for Minnesota, them being 8-1, also Buffalo having two back-to-back losses, like what were your thoughts on this matchup and kind of just how it ended, and also some of the decisions Josh Allen made which affected the loss?
That's the entire game.
Yeah.
Josh Allen played a sloppy football game, and it showed. They still have the opportunity to win, but 3 turnovers by your head guy is kind of, and you let old Patrick Peterson get an interception on you, man. He's in the later stage of his career, but that's the game. I think the entire game was sloppy on both sides. Yes, the Vikings comes back from a 17-point deficit to go into overtime and actually win it with the seal interception from Patrick Peterson, but it just looked like it was sloppy. These are two considered now best teams in AFC and NFC, but it just looked extremely sloppy, especially from Josh Allen. I think that's the difference we're seeing between the first couple of years he's been in the league. He's been a poised pocket passer and a good game manager, and he makes good decisions. This game, he made a ton of bad decisions. This entire season has been had some bad plays and bad decisions as a quarterback, and I want him to get back to what we saw a year prior, 2 years prior, if you will. But it just looks sloppy. Both teams look sloppy. Yes, Vikings are 8-1, head in the NFC North. They played a great game, had to come back from a 17-point deficit. But hats off to the defense, but both teams look extremely sloppy.
Yeah. Sloppy
Joe.
Put that over the description of the game. And like when you look at kind of like what's what Minnesota has been doing in this season, and also kind of like comparing them to some of the other NFC teams, like obviously like Philadelphia, they just lost to Washington. Like, what are your thoughts on kind of like how the top seeded teams in the NFC look? Because like a lot of times we can see teams drop. Even Dallas, like against your Green Bay Packers, dropped a game that they probably should have won. Like, what are your thoughts on some of the recent losses from some of like the NFC's best teams, and kind of like how they can bounce back going forward?
We're getting in the bulk of it, right? We're getting the bulk of the season, a bulk of the schedule. There's harder teams in the middle of the schedule, and a lot of people said that about the Minnesota Vikings, that their schedule was weak in a sense, but Patrick Peterson made a comment about, look at it now, what all the people are talking. But you look at the strength of schedule, I think Philadelphia Eagles still had a strong schedule. They just any given Sunday, to be honest with you, and that's a division rival, so they're always going to play up to speed. And you see the Vikings are 8-1, they had to play a tough Buffalo team I still think is a top contender in the AFC. So when these guys lose, they're this is the heat in the bulk of the middle of the season. So you're going to have more opponents. You have teams that's starting to figure out their roster, starting to figure out their personnel, starting to figure out how to game plan against some of these teams, and they improve every single week. So it's a bulk of the schedule. So when teams are, it's rare a team to go undefeated. That's Patriots.
That's Patriots level.
Yeah, Patriots level. I don't think any of these teams is on the Patriots level, what they used to be. Not even close. But yeah, you're gonna get some losses in the middle of the season, and probably a tail end, because you're gonna rest some players. You're just worried about getting to the playoffs and the division. So you gotta catch some losses in the middle at the end of the season if you're already leading your division, to be honest with you.
Definitely. And now getting into the 49ers home win over the Chargers this past Sunday night. San Francisco won 22-16, and the 49ers defense just had a really dominant performance. McCaffrey ran for the go-ahead touchdown with 7:54 to play, and the Niners pitched a second half shutout. But what are your thoughts on this win for the 49ers and how they've been developing throughout the season? Because now they're starting to get more healthy at this point of the year, and it seems as though even though they're not fully at where they want to be, they are kind of starting to click on certain cylinders.
First of all, what a pickup for the 49ers and
Cheat code.
Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, man. 4 touchdowns, and I think it was four touchdowns in the last 3 games. Starting to figure out the system of Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan is just like Sean McVay. They know how to get their ball players and their star players the ball.
Yeah.
And I love that about those teams. And Andy Reid is the same way. So when you look at that, he's always going to get opportunities to get the ball in his hand. And Jimmy Garoppolo has been playing impressive ball. I got a hats off. I'm a huge Jimmy hater. You know, I'm a huge Jimmy hater. I thought he was he was underwhelming, especially in the Super Bowl when they had a chance to win that. He was definitely underwhelming, but now him getting the reins back and his contract is beautiful. I hate Trey Lance had to go down, but Jimmy won in a sense, and he's leading the team. I mean, obviously he's still 5-4, but he looks good. 19 for 28, 240 yards, and I think they fell like 14, 17 points and rallied back. He got a quarterback sneak, and it's a couple other things that they're starting to build that momentum back. George Kittle is finally fully healthy. Christian McCaffrey is there. Debo is there. So they're starting to pick up the personnel and figure out how to win football games. And when Jimmy G is playing like this, they have an opportunity to go on a run.
Oh yeah,
and they're not out yet. I think they're still in the ball game trying to make the playoffs. They're not out yet. If Jimmy G continues to play like he's doing now and managing and picking up big plays when needed, I think they have a shot to run for the playoffs. They might have a run for it. They might get a run for it.
Might have a shot. Might possibly. Might possibly.
Just might. 50-50.
50-50.
50-50.
And another team I want to mention was Seattle, because they recently had a loss against Tampa Bay that we're about to cover lately. But like, what are your thoughts on how the NFC West currently look? Because you look at the Rams, they are having a really rough season. Cooper Kupp had an injury recently that's going to keep him out for this year. Like, what are your thoughts on the NFC West and how it's currently looking?
There's no clear-cut team that's ahead of the other.
Yeah.
So Seattle is 6-4, 49ers 5-4. You just mentioned the Rams not looking as poised. We talked about them a couple weeks ago and how their offense has shifted, and it's extremely difficult to have the success that you have prior from previous year. But there's no clear cut. Even with Seattle being 6-4, none of these teams are setting themselves apart.
Right.
So everybody has an opportunity to still be in to win the division. So I still haven't seen that. We've seen spurts of goodness in progression with the Seattle Seahawks with Geno Smith, but it's still kind of like a little tweaking that needs to come about.
It's not fully formed yet.
Yeah, and I seen that with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Geno played a pretty good game. He had a high, QBR and percentage rating, and then I think he threw for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Geno looked good. I think the defense is lacking the identity they once had prior. With
Legion of Boom,
Kelly, Legion of Boom, Wagner, Bobby Wagner, the whole shebang. They're missing the identity. They finally get a quarterback. You know what? I wouldn't say finally get a quarterback, because I still believe in Russell Wilson. First and foremost.
And Russ we trust.
Russell, yes. And Russ we trust. Russ for president 2024. First Lady Sierra.
Yeah. Yo, that would be a fire. Oh my goodness. But I don't even know how to move on from that. I don't even know how to transition. Kind of stuff now.
I am sorry.
But to a topic you want to get to, Packers, obviously, always when the Packers have a win, it's something we got to talk about. But I mean, but for this overtime game, though, I mean, they win 31-28. Rodgers throws 3 touchdown passes to rookie Christian Watson and led a 55-yard drive in overtime to set up
Yeah.
Mason Crosby's a game-winning 28-yard field goal. And this also stopped a 5 games a possible skid for the Packers. But what are your thoughts on this game and kind of how it ended? Because this looked like the type of game Dallas should have won, but Green Bay was kind of still able to find a way to rally and pick up a win.
Late quarter interceptions. Dak threw 2 of those, and then just Watson finding a way to be a mismatch this game. I'm still not convinced that we're going to do anything. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs. Even the Bears are looking good right now in front of us. So I'm still not convinced. Yeah, he's coming to his own. I think they're trying to figure out, even though what they're 4-6 or something like that, is still trying to figure their weapons out for Justin Fields. Right. But I'm still not convinced with the Buccaneers. But I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that we're going to make the playoffs. Yeah, we beat the Dallas Cowboys. Whoop-de-whoop. But I hats off to Watson scoring 3 touchdowns and finding a way to be a mismatch. Yeah, and I think that probably attesting to the running game. The running game was working against the Dallas Cowboys, one of their Achilles heels this year. So it's kind of give that one-on-one matchup on the outside. And you got to catch the ball. Aaron Rodgers was accurate this game. So, it was a good win. Mason Crosby coming in the clutch like he always does. But I'm still not convinced.
Tennessee up next tomorrow night. So that's gonna be
it should be a doozy because we're terrible in the run game.
Pick up overtime win, then you got Tennessee next. So
right. I hope he doesn't run for 190 yards.
If there's ever a team that run defense does not want to see is Tennessee.
No, absolutely not, bro. And we got so many people hurt, bro. It's gonna hopefully we can contain them, but I don't know. Yeah. Hands up, like.
And also getting to we kind of mentioned it briefly, but on the Tampa Bay side of things with them, winning 21-16 in the first game ever played in Germany, and Brady, threw 2 touchdown passes. Is he also connected with Julio Jones and Chris Godwin on scoring passes, and Leonard Fournette ran one in. What are your thoughts on the Tampa Bay win? Them improving to 500 and kind of looking a little similar, like they seem like they have a better identity in these last 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on kind of how they've currently been playing and where they can take it going forward? Like, do you think there can be massive improvement, or do you think it's one of those things where you still kind of have major concerns with them going forward?
For sure. I think like I said, it's in the middle of the season, tail end of the season. So guys are coming back. Julio Jones was hurt for a while. Mike Evans was in and out. Godwin wasn't as top tier as he was coming back from an injury. So it's a lot of moving parts for the Buccaneers and in the off-field woes like we talked about last week, I believe. Mm-hmm. And once you started getting guys back in Julio and Mike Evans and Godwin, those 3 wide receivers, now the defensive package is going to be different. Your run game is going to work a little more. And White had a pretty good game with, I think it was 105 yards. 22 attempts, 105 yards, and Leonard Fournette had, 57 yards. So the running game was working a tail bit, and it gives the opportunity for the outside receivers, especially the inside receivers as well, to mismatch and create plays. But, middle of the season, guys are coming back. I'm still concerned about the Buccaneers, first and foremost. Yeah. Julio's back. We don't know how, because on that big play that he came up limping. So I was like, oh, he just came back. Now he's going to come back. So I'm still worried about the injuries that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers exhumes every single year.
Yeah.
And then the off-field, woes that's kind of trickling into the
on-field. Yeah.
On-field. So I'm still concerned. Definitely concerned. I think I definitely downplayed it in the offseason, in the preseason training camp.
We were talking about that like, oh man, it's Brady.
It's nothing, and now they're 5-5.
Oh man.
Maybe he should have stayed on. I don't know. Maybe he should have.
And now transitioning to college football with LSU's close win versus Arkansas. LSU won 13-10 on the road, and Harold Perkins Jr. had a strip sack of Cade Fortson with 1:17 left, clinching the win and kept LSU's college football playoff hopes alive. Perkins finished with 2 forced fumbles, 4 sacks, and 8 tackles. But what are your thoughts on this extremely, close win from LSU and them also staying in playoff contention because off of that big win against Alabama, some experts were saying like, there could be a bit of a letdown and possibly like you come off that emotional high, you may not be as focused. But what were some of your thoughts on this, on the outcome of this matchup?
the Arkansas didn't capitalize on what the defense did. The defense kept them in the game, obviously 13-10.
Mm.
I thought when they had the big play, I think it was with they had the big play with it was one of the wide receivers of Arkansas. I think Landers. When Landers had the big play, I thought that was going to ignite them and get behind them. Okay, and they're going to score and put some more points on the board. But they didn't. LSU defense is really good. They have a phenomenal freshman. He looks like he's been there for 40 years. He's number 40. He had a phenomenal flu game. That's what they say. He was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey. So I forgot the young man's name, but what a freaky nature of a person he is. The man was everywhere. Strip sacks. The guy was everywhere. He plays outside linebacker, defensive end. He could play middle linebacker. But I just think the Arkansas Razorbacks did not capitalize on what the defense did for them because they had these wide receivers.
They had chances to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chances, even with I think it was the strip sack on the 5-10 yard line, and it was 4 down territory, didn't punch it in. And I was like, you got to get that in. You got, and you giving them opportunity to come back out. So it was missed opportunities the entire game for the Razorbacks. Both defense played really, really well. It's just Tigers had enough to edge them out. But yeah, man, Razorbacks should be punching themselves in the back of the head, just like that. Just punch themselves in the back of the head, man. They missed out on a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And now getting into TCU's road win versus Texas. TCU won 17-10, and they earned their Big 12 title berth. Kendra Miller rushed for 138 yards, including a 75-yard touchdown in the third quarter that broke open, a tense defensive struggle. But what were some of your main takeaways from this game, and also, the high amount of success TCU has recently been having?
TCU looks good. I don't know if they're playoff good. They're sitting at number 4. We still got a couple other things going on with division championships. Rivalries, and then you got the division championships going on, or conference championships or whatever. Conference, I'm thinking the NFL division. So I don't know if they're going to stay there, Wellington, to be completely honest with you. But what a game by Kendra Miller with the 75-yard bomb downtown.
Man.
Can you dig it? Man, yeah, he got out there. He got out of there.
Yes.
But yeah, that was the biggest takeaway. And nothing else wowed me. Obviously, when you think of the Big 12, Big 12 defense is non-existent in certain points, but it just didn't wow me. Yeah, Miller's play was really good with the 75 touchdown. That's why I say I don't think they're ready for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to stay at number 4. I think Tennessee might sneak back in there, and maybe a couple other teams on the brink of getting it back in there. But I don't think TCU is going to stay in there.
Right. Like in terms of the other teams that are currently put in that 4, obviously Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan. Like, what are your thoughts on those? Other 3 teams and kind of how they're looking this season? Because obviously, Georgia is like we're convinced. Like Georgia, I think Georgia is going to repeat. Like,
I think so too.
They don't look like a team like that really has any weaknesses. But
no,
the other 2 teams, still like Ohio State, Michigan, they're going to cancel themselves out eventually.
Yeah, for sure. And I think right now those 2 teams definitely deserve to be in there, but it's always comes down to the championship. And Michigan looked good. Michigan running game looks phenomenal. Offensive line looks phenomenal, and they squeaked out a couple games, but I think they solidified themselves by beating teams they're supposed to beat. And then Ohio State, looked shaky. That Notre Dame game was going back and forth, and then from there, their strength of the schedule is so weak, and then they just dog other teams. But when it comes to that championship, I think it's going to be a good game. Yeah. I think it's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good one.
It's going to. That's why I say I don't think TCU is going to stay long. I think Tennessee is going to sneak back in there. I just feel Tennessee is going to sneak back in there. It's going to be a rematch. I feel it. Mm-hmm. That's what I feel. It got to be a rematch. Just like when LSU and Alabama played twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think these guys. I think it's going to be similar to that.
Definitely. And also now getting into like most intriguing Week 12 game. I mean, I think Georgia, Kentucky, obviously seeing
Yep.
another week of Georgia, it just to see how they continue to carry on until they get to that SEC championship. First, like I think that's gonna be very interesting. But are there any other games that kind of stand out to you, or ones you have your eye on?
Michigan, Illinois. Dante Witherspoon has not given up much. He can play zone, man to man. He could come up and crash down as well. So I'm looking for that strength of their secondary to go against this Michigan team. And I feel upset.
Uh-oh, upset alert!
I feel upset.
Upset
Illinois. I
alert!
think Illinois can do it. I think Illinois is good. And there's one more. That was one I was looking at for the most part. And then obviously Georgia, Kentucky that you already mentioned. Nah, I think that's it. Because I mean USC, UCLA, ugh, whatever,
Yeah, I mean
right?
that's
Whatever.
well. It's like whatever.
But no, I'm looking at Illinois. Yeah. Okay, Illinois and Michigan because he's a Florida boy, Pensacola hometown, so I'm rooting for him. And he's his draft stock has went up this year, especially that first game of the season when he demolished that receiver
Man,
on the screenplay. Oh Nelly,
goodness.
oh Nelly. So yeah, upset alert. You heard it here at Full
Heard it here
Scope
first. Heard it here
Podcast.
firts. Nowhere else. Nowhere else.
Upset.
No sports center
No,
special. No
hey,
sports.
really, nowhere else but here.
Nowhere.
Nobody believes.
Literally, nobody believe. But transitioning to college basketball and thoughts on kind of Kentucky Michigan State's double OT game and Michigan State picking up the win. Michigan State won 86-77, led by Joey Hauser's 23 points, and they trailed for more than 33 minutes of game action and twice needed game saving buckets to force extra time. But what were your thoughts on this comeback for Michigan State? Because there were multiple times like they shouldn't have been in the game still, but they kept finding ways to get buckets necessarily against a top 5 team in Kentucky.
Yeah, the I think the enthusiasm that these guys have for Michigan State. I think because nobody is scared of Kentucky anymore. Nobody's scared
they
of.
don't have that vaunted feel.
Yeah,
Just like
they don't have that
untouchable.
fear anymore. Yeah, there's no fear. And I love Joey Hauser, the senior from Michigan State. He was like, "We'll take on anyone, anytime, any day." I love that.
I love that.
And they move up top 5 after beating super fast. But I feel like they played better basketball and they weren't afraid of Kentucky.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of teams come in and was like, oh, big Kentucky, big Wildcats. They're not the same anymore. So Michigan State, and Michigan State is no pushover. Michigan State is always a good contender when it comes, especially in March Madness. They always a good contender. But I think they played better team basketball. They got to the rim. They got second chance rebounding, which kind of helped them. And they have the mentality. They have the dog. And they showed that. They upset number 4, Kentucky.
Man,
crazy.
Big Blue.
It ain't in March yet.
It's not even March.
It's like the first game of the season. Wait. This is going to be a breeze, big fella. Upset.
And now getting into Kansas win against Duke and them keeping their active winning streak alive. Kansas won 69-64, and Jalen Wilson plus Dejon Harris Jr. were big factors in kind of determining this win. Wilson scored a career high 25 points, and Harris dished out a career best 10 assists. But what are your thoughts on this win for Kansas and a game in which it really went back and forth for most of the second half?
Kansas is going to be hard to beat.
Yeah,
Kansas is going to be hard to beat. They have the experience with this squad, and they got some great guards.
Yeah.
Normally, when Kansas is really good, they have a great point guard and then they got a great 2. Sometimes a three is there, but most of the times they have a great 1 and 2, and they have good 3 guards, 1, 2, and 3. So it's going to be hard to beat them. They're good front court in the back court.
Yeah, and
them boys can light it up. But I'm old school, so I like guys who can finish at the rim, and they can do that too, and create their own shot. And pass guys open. Kansas is going to be hard to beat.
It's the fundamentals. Like it's so fundamentally sound. Like I think that's the thing. Like they're not trying to like outwill you in a modern sense, but it's more. It almost feels like an old school traditional. Like, hey, we're just gonna like wear you down because we have all of these different basic things notched down, and we can do it every game. I feel like that's what makes Kansas just very, very elite.
Yes. And then no, it doesn't matter what zone you run against them. They're gonna find a way to score.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter run a 2-3, 1-3-1, man. It doesn't matter what you do against Kansas. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Kansas look good, man. Kansas look really good.
And another thing I want to mention, that this was kind of a tragic event recently, the Virginia shooting. With that was recently reported. Like, what were some of your just feelings with that sentiment? Because like that was just a very tragic thing to hear, and obviously like it's one of those things, like murders have been happening rampant, and even with sports and in a situation like that, it's going to be very heavy for that team going forward.
I still don't know the full story. I know the three students were killed, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Who, like, was it another player on the team that shot them?
That's what I heard. I heard that it was another player. I heard that was the report, but I didn't I'm not sure of like the full details, but it's one of those things where I've heard snippets of it, but not all the actuality of it.
And it's sad that it happened in Virginia, because we all remember the Virginia Tech, when the guy was in the bill sniping people down at Virginia Tech. So it's crazy how to be in Virginia again, man. What a sad moment. All three of those guys were either juniors or seniors.
Yeah.
And they have their whole life ahead of them, and they're probably going to get their degree and then go into the life. Yeah. So that's just sad, bro. Like you never know what the time, the day, or anything. That's just sad.
And we just mentioned it recently with just like appreciating life, like even like when we talked about Takeoff last episode, and that I think it's even a bigger sentiment in entertainment and sports, whatever you call it. It's one of those things you literally never know when it's going to be the last day, and I feel like that's appreciating. I feel like for everybody, appreciating life more, and not taking just the smallest things for granted.
No, for sure, man. That's super sad, bro. That's extremely sad. My heart goes out to the families first and foremost. And bro, like, how does that happen? There has to be more. Like, were they in the dorms? I know they're not in the facility,
right? Yeah.
That's crazy,
awesome. Prayers out to those families for sure. Yeah, definitely. And now transitioning to the NBA with thoughts on the Jazz having kind of like a surprising amount of success so far. They're currently 10-6 and third in the West, but have recently been on a bit of a slide, losing 3 in a row. But in terms of how they started this season, and how the guard trio of Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton have performed, what have been some of your takeaways? Because this was a team that wasn't really deemed to be competitive, but they started off the season pretty strong.
I'm telling y'all, man, I've been heavy on Colin since he came out of Bama.
You have, yes.
I love his man. He's a true point guard, and he brings that energy, especially with those bulging eyes, man. With the with the buzz cut with just the hair on top, bro. That's scary, man. He could have dreaded up anytime he wanted to, but he wants to be scary or something. But no, man, they're third in the West, bro. Like, and Mike Conley has some rejuvenation juice somewhere, man. This man that played basketball for a while.
Right by him.
Yeah, man. But they already had a decent team without Rudy Gobert going over, and obviously Devin going to Donovan, sorry, excuse me, thank you. That's why you get the big bucks. Donovan Mitchell to the Cavaliers, and then you receive three really, really good role players that can be star players, especially Colin. He's coming off the bench, and I'm still high on him. But like Jordan Clarkson, he's elevated his game. Kelly Olynyk. Oh, I think. Whoa. I used to know how to say his name. See, this is terrible. I'm gonna call him Kelly. Wizard Kelly. He's a seasoned vet. But you got a lot of veteran guys, even Rudy Gay, that's kind of still banged up. You got a lot of veteran guys and guys who don't mind buying in. I think when you get rid of two of your star big time players, then you can revamp and let people buy in. But I think they're still obviously they're going to be a contender, and I'm hoping and eventually Colin Sexton will get into the starting lineup. But I do like him coming off the bench because I feel like he brings that extra energy for the second group. But I do want him in the starting lineup eventually. Yeah. But no, they look good. I mean, they still have I think they still have a solid team, solid bench. Yeah, I think
You call this early. You call this early. I'm telling you, last year you said just break it up. And I remember that episode, like Marlon was on. We both were like, "Man, what are you talking about? You can't break this up." And
bro.
It worked. So far it's working. I mean, so you're kind of at that point where you realize two stars sometimes when they need different things, and this system is not working for them. You really have to just start from scratch.
Right, and Rudy Gobert is a one-way player, and you pay him all this money. Yeah, he's defensive player of the year or going for MVP, but he's a one-way player. Now, if he was like a Shaq or even a Joel Embiid type of guy, then you keep him and then you get rid of Donovan Mitchell and you build around him. But when it had to happen. I think they're free and then they have cap space. So next season they can figure out what they want to do with certain players and get more players in. So they won I think I did say that. I think they won, but man, I need to be in somebody's front office, man. I don't know.
This is the guy right here. This is the guy.
Don't gas me up with it.
And now getting to the Nuggets, a strong start to the season. Denver is currently 9-4 and second in the West. In their last matchup against Chicago, they won by 23, and Michael Porter Jr. scored a season high 31 points, and Nikola Jokic had 14 assists. But what are your thoughts on how Denver has looked offensively? Because this is an extremely potent team scoring wise, but also on the other side they still need to make some improvements defensively.
Yeah, and they're always injured. Aaron Gordon is banged up.
Yeah.
Jokic is banged up. They just got Jamal Murray back. So once they, I'm telling you, man.
A lot of people are picking this team as a finals, like possible team that can go to the finals. Honestly, a lot of people are.
They had the opportunity in the bubble.
Yeah.
And then Jamal Murray gets hurt. Right. And then if they're 100% healthy for 82 games, I know it's hard to do. But these guys got it. It's just injuries that plague them. Because like you said, Michael Porter Jr. is playing really good. I think Caldwell Pope is coming to his own. Yeah. I think he's getting a new name for himself. And I love it. And they have a good bench. Jeff Green coming off, DeAndre Jordan coming off the bench. I think they have a strong roster. It's just the injuries that continue to plague them. If they get 100% healthy, Wellington, they're definitely a NBA Finals contender for sure. So. Yeah, for certain. Because nobody's gonna hold Jokic.
Oh no, that's the thing. Like the what Jokic can do in terms of just like being a big that facilitates, can still spot up. Like, do you feel as though Jokic you can make the case that like this is still possibly not only like one of the most valuable bigs, but just one of the most valuable players in the league overall?
Oh, for sure. And he has that dog in him too. He does. He does it so effortlessly. Like it's just crazy how he just spots up, and his vision is crazy. Like he drops dimes, he can pull up, he can back it down, he can dream shaky, he can do all these things. He has a lot of moves in his repertoire.
And it doesn't even look like he's putting in like a lot of effort.
No, it does not. He looks like he's bored. Only time he got excited when he ran into Moore is my cousin. And no, he's not really my cousin. He's not really my cousin. I win though. Until he ran into him full speed. That's the last time it looked like he had fun. Like yes, I get to fight again. Like it was like, bro. Yeah. But nah, yeah, he's the closest thing we have to Shaquille O'Neal, to be honest with you. But he's not like crazy aggressive like Shaquille was. But I think he has that dog in him like Shaquille did. He's the closest thing we got to it.
Definitely. And also kind of looking at even the East, Boston is currently top seeded. Like they're 10-3. Like has it surprised you that they've still been able to stay afloat with everything that has been going on, or do you think it's one of those things where they're just kind of carrying on that possibly, that championship experience. Obviously, they didn't win it, but still having that feeling of like, hey, we've been to the finals. Now we can carry on and possibly even, do better than we did last season.
They have the talent, man.
Yeah.
They always had the talent. They just missing the coach to really guide them, and they had that, and he messed that up. So now they're surviving off pure raw talent.
Yeah.
And pure raw talent only gets you so far. And we've seen that when they lost to the Cavaliers a couple times, and then they had the great coach. It was just their talent was not ready for that big stage. I think Jason Tatum wasn't ready for that big stage.
Right.
But man, they're surviving on pure T talent. They're gonna need a coach eventually. They're gonna figure out.
Postseason is a different story. Postseason is definitely a different story.
No, after the break, after the
All-Star break,
All-Star break is a different story too. People go, I don't know what they do. They eat their Wheaties after the All-Star break, so it's just do or die. So
yeah, it's a sprint. It's definitely a sprint. And now getting into our first album review with Nas, King's Disease 3. And also, I mean, just kind of thoughts on maybe our possible favorite King's Disease album overall. And this new album in the third installment of the King's Disease series, it just continued to show that Hit Boy is the best fit for keeping him relevant in a changing rap landscape. And there were also no features on this project as he talked more about his career longevity. Plus, the song ideas and the themes are very coherent. I mean, this album is just like the fact that Nas, we talked about it so many times. The fact that Nas can still do this, and like a project like this, man, like it honestly might be my favorite King's Disease. Like I like King's Disease 2 a lot, but this one is just like the fact that he can do it with no features is what just skill is so astounding to me, and not really miss a beat. And he is just flowing as good as ever. But what are some of your like main takeaways and just initial thoughts on this?
I see why J. Cole made a song called I let Nas down. Like Nas the GOAT, one of the GOATs, man.
You gotta put him in there.
I love the way he writes his lyrics. And I've seen a couple of interviews of him talking about it and him like giving advice on how to write. His writing ability it's rare these days, obviously, because he's an old school guy. And obviously he got the voice, he got the cadence, he got the bars, he got the lyricism, he got the melodies. It's just different. And it's effortless as well. Like it just seems like he just glides on beat. Like he doesn't like get hype. He doesn't like change. He doesn't change octaves very, very, suddenly like most rappers do, but it works and it still hits. Mm-hmm. So he's a rare breed. Cause even like Biggie changed his cadence, Jay-Z changes like his octave or whatever. Nas is literally the same. I remember one of the artists that we reviewed, and he was like the same octave. Yeah, same thing, old time. And I was like, yeah, you got to switch that up. Nas don't have to do that.
It works for Nas. It works for Nas. He doesn't ever have to switch it up.
I do not get it. I don't know if it's not a respect thing, but he's been doing that since he's been in the game.
Yeah.
So I think he's perfected how to not, use the beat to, I don't know. It's just it's a rare thing that he does, and that works for him. And it's a lot. Obviously, you see a lot of rappers can't do what he does. But man, yeah, this I think this was my favorite. The whole thing. I didn't skip a track.
That's what I'm saying.
I let it run. It just glided through the next track to another track to the other track. It's just like, yeah, man, yeah, Nas is goated, man. I hate he's not in my top 5 because I don't listen to him like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he goated.
This was like such a smooth run through. And I mean, like when a rapper like him he's kind of going through that second prime, because this whole King's Disease series and then the Magic album he put out, short project he put out last December. I mean, like when a rapper does that and can reinvent themselves and is willing to get with a new producer, like what does that say about them and just kind of like the career arc they want to continue to have even when they're much later in their career?
That's the versatility. And, Hit Boy is a different type of producer that he's probably never had before. Yeah. Well, not probably never had before, but like when he was in his prime, I don't think he had that type of producer who brings those type of beats, because Nas
his beat selection was always criticized early on. Yeah.
Right. So now, like, to be able to utilize a producer who's like, I guess, modern hip hop
Right.
and be able to just like kill every beat, loud on every beat, fit perfectly on every beat, that means you're a goat.
Mm-hmm.
Cause Jeezy sounded exactly the same he did 20 years ago. Like it was no difference. Just the the same ad lib.
You didn't like Snowfall?
It was straight. No. It was
Yeah.
straight. But it was just like, I don't think I want to hear a full album of you doing
Well,
that
I get
anymore.
that. Yeah, I get that. With
So
Nas,
when
I can listen to a full album of Nas, just full
yes,
straight through. Like, and I
yes.
don't want to skip anything.
And it's a different producer. I'm pretty sure he used the same producers he always used with Jeezy. So just like I already knew what I was gonna get from Jeezy.
Yeah. That one was kind of tough, man. He has some slappers on there. He has some slappers, but I can tell the predictability
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
I feel you on
I
that.
mean, yeah, we gonna get Jeezy out of Jeezy. But with Nas, we're gonna get like a different type of perspective to a different style of modern hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So he combined the old school authentic hip hop to the modern hip hop, and it worked perfectly. I mean, trap is trap. So I mean, you're gonna get what you expect out of trap.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to hip hop, it's a different type of um I don't know.
Space.
Yes.
Space.
Yes. All of that. Yes. Hooray. Yeah. All of that. It's a different type of vibe, a different type of speciality that you have to combine modern hip hop to old school hip hop.
Yeah, absolutely. And now getting into Cormega's The Realness too. In this new album, Cormega delivers lyrics that are kind of incredibly introspective, and the production is on par, if not even superior to his last project. But how do you feel about the way this album was produced and kind of the sequencing of some of the songs?
I thought it was produced really well.
Yeah,
I love the feature by Nas. I'm going to throw that out there.
gotta throw that in there.
But you know it. I thought it was solid. I thought it was a solid project. I don't think I would go back to it. But I love the selection that you did because we were reviewing Nas and then Cormega.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the similarities. So it's really that was very smart of you. Flowers. Here you go. Very strategic in how he does the topics, ladies and gentlemen.
Savon noticed that was a very strategic topic.
Yeah, no, it flowed well. Your topics always flow, so I'll have to give you your flowers. But no. But I thought it was solid. This is real hip hop, authentic hip hop, stamp. I thought it was dope. Lyrical bars, check boxes, listenability. First go around, I didn't skip any songs, which were good. The number, concise, beautiful.
I love that.
He had 2 features. Lloyd Banks, I'm not a fan.
I was about to say that. I wanted to know what you thought about the Lloyd Banks because I knew Savon was like thumbs up.
He could have got, I don't know. He could have went and got Exhibit out of
He said Exhibit.
He could have went and got Exhibit out of retirement instead of going to get Lloyd Banks, man. Oh my gosh. As soon as I heard his voice, I was like, bro, you were the least favorite on G Unit. The least.
Still the least.
The least favorite, bro. Like, yeah. But nah, this was a solid project. Concise 13 songs. I love the Nas track. That was my favorite. Glorious was my favorite.
Nas just kills it. Continues to kill it. Yeah.
Nas is effortless.
This is just a Nas episode. This is just literally just a Nas.
Nas goated,
man.
Nas goated for sure.
And now getting to our next album review with Lecrae's Church Close 4. In his latest album, Lecrae, in a variety of differently layered beats, tries to communicate to the world the confidence he has, goes through tumultuous flows, and also kind of comes with hard-hitting bars. But how did you feel about this project and how Lecrae approached it? I'm gonna be honest, like I haven't liked as much of Lecrae's new music compared to his older music. This album, no. I thought, I mean, there were some songs I liked a bit of it, but I didn't feel as though it was like a consistent run through. Because I've heard a lot of people say like, "Man, this is a classic album. This is Lecrae's best album." I'm like, I didn't hear that. I've been talking to some people who have just been declaring it. Man, this is the greatest Christian hip hop album ever. I'm like, I didn't feel that. I've heard a lot of Lecrae albums, and it's not that he didn't have good songs, but I think he's had better sequence projects. He's had better just just a better feel to his music. I think some of the later tracks, he's kind of trying to sound like different artists, like maybe like Travis Scott, Playboy Cardi. It felt like he was putting in different elements that just didn't really
Yeah,
fit what he does. But what were some of your initial thoughts on it?
he's fell off, man.
I didn't. Yeah,
Big time, man. You know, Lecrae was the
he
guy,
was the
man.
man. We always would listen to bump him. Yeah,
Yes, bro. Send me. I go. Let me go. Let me go. Like, bro, he has so many great, full, concise albums. Rehab.
after the
Shoot.
music stops,
After the music stopped, there's so many. Even the first
Gravity.
two church Gravity, first two church
The church.
clothes.
That's what I was saying. First church close. Absolutely, like just sweep this out of the way. Literally sweep this project out of the way. It's not even close.
Anomaly. I
Yeah.
think Anomaly is his best album. I
Mm,
don't. I
it's
think
fire.
Anomaly is his best. It's so it got hits. It has
How
songs
many
that
albums does
tie
Lecrae
everything.
have? How many albums
He
does
has a
Lecrae?
lot.
I was about to say.
He got co-albums too with 116 Click. Like it's just so many. He got so much music to say this. There's too much
There's
music.
too
Yeah,
much.
he's trying to stay relevant,
Yeah.
and that's not what makes you you.
Mhm.
People still, yeah. I just think he's trying. Like the last four songs, I'm like, bro, am I
The
listening
last
to?
four, I was like, I did not know what I was listening to, man. I
Uh,
couldn't. I was just. It was tough to get through. I'm not even gonna
Cray
lie.
cray,
It was tough to get through this album.
cray cray. I know. And then, yeah, man. Oh my gosh, yeah. He got surpassed,
And I
man.
mean, I know I know we're sounding like the minority in this because there are people out here that love it.
Who
But
love it?
just
I
for
don't know
me,
why.
it was not the same Lecrae that I'm used to, and that I
No.
honestly even Restoration. I liked Restoration more than this project. I didn't this project just didn't flow with me like the
Yeah.
same way. Like when an artist like Lecrae, obviously like he's been around so long, he obviously has so many hits, so many great albums. Like, do you think the battle of trying to stay relevant for maybe a younger audience compared to like your core audience is what like the possible move is for him now?
Yeah, because it's some artist, Christian artist, who's doing the Travis Scott or whatever, but they got the voice for it.
Right.
They have the age for it, first and
Yeah.
foremost.
Gotta put
So
that in there.
I love Bizzle. I like Bizzle because Bizzle sticks and he doesn't try to stay relevant. He just produces good music and let people decide, hey,
Right.
I know this is good. Here you go. Thank you. God bless. But I think Lecrae's trying to stay relevant and Reach Records is trying to stay relevant. Especially, yeah, bro. Yeah. This is
Now
what's not it.
Andy Mineo,
Indy
he does not miss.
can't do
He does
no
not.
wrong.
I still Neverland too. That is an album. That is an album, man.
Uncomfortable. All the EPs,
Doesn't miss.
bro.
I've never felt like Andy's like, oh, he sounds. I'm like, nah. Andy's always staying true to himself.
Yo, Andy's the
He's
man,
different.
bro. Andy's a man. I
Yeah.
miss him singing though. See, like, I later back.
Sea Light. That's when you really know you know
Like,
Andy. We
bro.
knew we grew up on Sea Light.
Yes, bro. And then when he changed his name to Annie I think no. It was
Was it Heroes for
ah
Sale?
Heroes for
Yes,
Sale.
that was.
I used to bump that thing. Bro,
I'm
yeah.
about to listen to
Fool's
Andy.
Gold was another one. Yeah, bro. Yeah, Andy can't miss, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, Andy's the guy, bro. Yeah, Andy's
definitely,
the guy.
definitely. And now getting to our next review with Coco Jones EP, What I Didn't Tell You. The rising R&B songstress and even recent star of Bel Air discusses in this EP real life experiences and the push and pull of being in a relationship where the circumstances have changed. What are your thoughts on her kind of growing in her career and kind of the refreshing introduction this was to her vocals and also kind of impressive songwriting skills?
Yeah, that stood out the most. I love the way she writes her music.
Yeah.
You could tell she's mainstream. Like
Oh yeah.
her, like try to make her mainstream. I would love to see the versatility in her voice, but her writing abilities is incredible. I love how she um tells a story. I think that's missing in R&B.
It is.
R&B just normally
Because it used
it's
to be
telling,
storytelling.
yeah,
It used to be storytelling, man.
storytelling. Most of these guys didn't sing amazingly good. It was how they constructed their songs. Like
Yeah.
80s, the 90s. I mean, none of them did runs like most of these artists do now. Joe never did a run. Carl Thomas never did a run. Freddie Jackson never did a run. They just told stories. They told
Yeah.
stories and it sounded good. When you tell a good story, it's gonna last. It's now when it's mainstream, it's all about what the hook sounds like. The lyrics don't really have to be nothing. If your hook is good, the song is good. I don't like that. Talk about something. And I do think she talked about something. And I think what I didn't tell you, I got that from her songs.
I like this
Beautiful.
a lot. I like
Yeah,
this a lot,
it was
man.
dope.
Yeah,
It
this
was
was,
dope.
and I we love EPs. Like this is
Yes.
something I can just, if I just want to like go like go listen to through something short and just have it keep flowing. Like even like what we heard from Tim's last year. Like I still listen to that.
Mhm.
Like
Me
Tim's
too.
EP. It's just really nice when artists can put that out. We even mentioned it I think earlier this year with Pink Sweat with what he's been doing, kind of putting out short projects. Like do you feel as though R&B singers kind of even need that more to like really kind of get their audience like established into what they're going to do, kind of like put those short EPs that can kind of like tease the appetite?
Yeah, for sure. EPs are, if you use them correctly, they're beautiful.
Yeah,
Because a full album, you have to be more precise of how you construct your album. With an
right.
EP, man, you can really just be fluent and let it flow. You can put songs together that normally wouldn't go together and just test the water. And I think, I mean, obviously you want it to flow a little bit, but it doesn't have to be so strategic in the EP. Like when Boss dropped his EP of 4 songs, like it wasn't really strategic, and it was. I thought it was a solid, dope.
Yeah.
I still say he's the Tim Duncan of music.
Hmm.
Like he's just consistent, solid, under the radar. Drop something, and now I'm about to go back to Cuba or whatever I'm gonna go to with my chest hairs and my taco
Just
me hanging
I
out.
just there.
But nah, if you use an EP strategically, I think yeah, because albums you have to be. But I like Pink Sweat when he dropped his EP. I
Mhm.
still listen to that to that day. The intro is amazing. And then this EP, yo, yeah. So now I'm waiting for even Tim's. Like I'm ready for her to drop an album, but
I
she,
mean,
yeah, if she,
what a year Tim's is, even the wait for you. I mean, every time we hear her, we're like, yo, like you're just floating. Like we're ready to hear that full project because I definitely think she can put together something special.
me too. But I don't know. I'm not ready for an album yet.
Not ready yet.
If that makes, I'm not ready for an album yet because I think she still got some growing to do in her
Okay.
selection of music.
She's gotten all the exposure she needs. Now it's just
Yes,
about
oh
her
for
taking her
sure.
time. Now it's just about her,
Yes, do
Yeah.
not rush to
Don't
drop an
rush it.
album.
Yeah.
Do not, because she have her EPs running from like
Don't fall off like
2019.
Bryson Tiller.
Oh, if you that's the blueprint to not fall off,
I
bro.
hate that. I hate to use that. He's the blueprint now because, man, Trap Soul was really my album.
Bro, yeah, Trap Soul is still a classic, bro. But
Yeah.
everything else is yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And getting to our last song review with Cecily's Battlefield. In this in another R&B field track, she kind of discusses the push and pull and just kind of the contrast of love being a struggle and kind of going through the ups and downs of things. But what were your thoughts on this second single from her and kind of like what she was communicating through this track?
Oh, I thought I the story behind I really didn't attach to me.
Okay.
But I thought it was a good selection. I thought it was a single song.
Mhm.
But the writing was kind of iffy for me.
Okay.
But I do think it was. I do think it was a good song. I think it was a single song. Hold on, I'm putting it in front of my face. I do think it was a single song. I do think her selection of dropping music is, or whoever's in her team or she's doing it herself. I think she knows how to drop a single and what song
Yes.
is a single and not a single. But I did that. I think it was solid. I want to hear a full body of work from her.
She's the one I want to hear that from.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm ready for a full body of work from her. I want to see how creative she can be with either EP or album. I think I'm ready for a
Yeah.
full body of work from
It's
her.
time. It's kind of
Yeah.
around that time because we've had enough a good amount of singles from her, and I think she's one I really, like you said, just let's see the creativity, let's see what she
Yeah.
has, because we can see different elements of it, small elements of it, but we just kind of want to see like the full product.
Yeah, what's your beat production?
Yeah,
What is going to be about? The name of it, the cover art, the whole process. I think I'm ready to receive a whole process from her. Yeah.
definitely. Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with our Fruitvale Station review. Welcome back to the show, and now we're getting to our Fruitvale Station review. And to start the overview, Fruitvale Station is a 2013 biographical drama film written and directed by Ryan Coogler. It is Coogler's feature directorial debut and is based on the events leading to the death of Oscar Grant, a young man killed in 2009 by Bay Area rapid transit police officer Joanne Masiri at the Fruitvale District Station in Oakland. Had a budget of $900,000 and brought in $17.4 million in the box office. Also had a 94% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. But what were your initial thoughts on a film, that was, passionate and powerfully acted, along with, being a celebration of life and a condemnation of death? Because, we were even talking earlier, this is one of those films that really kind of leaves you just speechless at the end and kind of shows you the immediate tragedies that happen in our society.
Yo, man, first and foremost, Ron Coogler, to be his really first debut film, was shot so beautifully.
Yeah.
And I love the way he uses objects and scenery to create that outside story within the story.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of producers, well, a lot of directors do that and producers do that. But it's lovely when you see a young director be able to utilize those skills at an early stage of his career. First, yeah, I thought it was beautifully shot, first and foremost, and then just the story. I didn't know, we were talking outside of before we started recording. I didn't know it was based off a true story until the second time I watched it, and it made me feel angry. It made me feel, sad for his daughter, sad for his friends, his girlfriend. But what a sad story, man. But to be able to tell his story, this goes on a lot that
Yeah.
we don't know of, but to be able to tell Oscar Grant's story, man, beautifully, man, what a time, and to be your first debut director. Yeah, that's amazing, bro. Ryan Coogler
it's astonishing. Yeah, it really is
yeah.
astonishing that he was able to do that in this film. Like, and also like looking at it from Michael B. Jordan's perspective, like with the career he's had, this being one of his earlier films that's not really as well known compared to some of like the major hits like Black Panther and Creed. What are your thoughts on like this performance as well? Because I feel like this is one of his, when you really look at it, it's one of his best ones because it's so emotionally transparent, and he really is having to carry a lot in it, a lot of weight in it, and there's a lot of depth throughout it.
Yeah, what a depiction he did, man. This I've seen him play, roles that, tugged at the heartstrings a little bit, but to be able to, depict this role of Oscar Grant really really solidify his versatility.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring those emotions into this film when, one, you don't have a daughter, you haven't been through those things that Oscar Grant has went through, but to be able to bring that onto the screen as if you did, amazing versatility. And I think we've seen every spectrum of Michael B. Jordan acting skills, playing the villain, playing in a Friends movie, and it was with Zac Efron. I forgot what it's called, but I think he's played every type of film you could think of, a family film, a children film. Like he's played in he has a great career, but to be able to play this and depict this so beautifully, man, what a step onto his career. Yeah, man. He did a phenomenal job in this movie.
Definitely. And now getting to our first topic, from 1 to 4 stars, what would you give it? To you, like, what would be your particular rating for it, and some of your main reasons?
I give it a 4, man. Like what I said before, it was shot beautifully. I love the way Ron Coogler made you feel every emotion.
Yeah.
Every emotion, and then he takes it away from you. And then he'll give you a different emotion. And I love how he did that through the scenery, through the close-up shots, and the different angles that he utilized throughout the film. I thought it was shot so beautifully. And then the acting ability of Michael B. Jordan, Octavia Spencer, who's versatile. Yeah, she's so versatile. She's played every role you could believe. Supporting role, the lead role, she's played everything you could think of. I think she's done Broadway, she's done some plays too. So just to have these different actors come in and bring a different element to the film, man, it's 4 stars. I think the monologue was there.
Yeah.
the amount of affection, just like he made you feel different things, and he took it away from you and gave you another thing to feel, and like he kind of played you in a sense, or just like yeah. I thought a
And
lot
I
of
mean,
directors don't do that.
this wasn't a long. This was kind of felt like a short film. It felt
Yeah.
like a bit of a like. Are you? Is that another thing that kind of impressed you about it? Like the fact that he was able to put like pack so much into it in like kind of a shorter timestamp compared to some longer films that we usually see.
Oh, for sure. So if you can be concise as a director, and this is based off a true story, so I'm pretty sure there's a lot of things he wanted to leave in there,
Yeah.
but he had to trim the fat, as they would say in editing. Um, but to be able to do this in a concise hour and some change, that's amazing in itself. And to leave great parts of the film. I think everything flowed correctly and beautifully. And that even I haven't seen the deleted scenes. I'm kind of curious to see what the deleted scenes were, to see what he left off. But I think it was it's a perfect fit.
Mhm.
Everything fit perfectly. Even the ending fit perfectly.
Man.
Man, what a
Yeah. What
acting,
a
bro. Yeah, bro. It made me feel like I was there. Yeah, it was.
definitely.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I mean, me as well. I would go with four. I mean, this was just a great film that really stuck to a single core concept. And even though it's not an easy film to watch, as we mentioned, it's an important one to definitely convey and communicate to people. But getting to our next topic, favorite character. It's so tough to not go with Oscar because he's facing so much. Whether it be interacting with family, friends, rivals, and even strangers in between, facing his fate. Like there's just so much that he's going through in and out a day. Like he's lost his job, having to tell that to his girlfriend. Just so many different feelings and emotions that he's really having to really like lead through and still kind of keep on a strong front for his daughter and make her feel as though everything is going to be fine going forward. But to you overall, who is your favorite character?
Normally I try to get away from the main character, but it's extremely hard to get away from Oscar
Yeah.
Grant. Just man, all the things that were going on in the midst, and I just think about how his mental was, and
Yeah, the
how
mental
he
health.
was, yeah, the mental health, and what he was fighting inside of his head, and what he was fighting in pure sight, and what got him killed.
Right.
um Man, what a life of continuous struggle, but he found
He
a
could never get
way.
away from it. It's like he could, like when he saw
Yeah,
that former inmate, it's like I'm right back there. I'm right back in that prison mindset.
he couldn't catch a break, and trying to be that type of guy for his daughter, and it seems like he can never. He's always just never could get away,
Right.
and what a tragic ending that he had. But man, it's hard to not say Oscar Grant is the best and the favorite character. Obviously, it was about him, but
Right.
his life was crazy.
Mhm.
His life was crazy, man.
Definitely. And now getting into most memorable scenes, I had a helping Katie. Also the last time I visit you, the daycare center, stray dog. Also I need this job. We
Yep.
had nothing. The fight on the subway, and then
Oh, that's a good one.
obviously Oscar getting shot. Like to you, like what were the memorable scenes in this one, and kind of just like the most like pivotal one to you?
Every last one of you picked, to be honest, God, Wellington, you always pick the good ones, bro. Like it never fails since we've been doing this podcast. You always pick the good ones, and I have to like scramble and try to find another one. But I'm not going to do this for this one. But the most memorable was definitely when the officer shot him. The feeling you saw on Michael B. Jordan's face, it made it so real.
Yeah.
It was like, because people, when people get shot on movies, sometimes it's not believable,
Yeah.
but it made you be like, bro, like it made you feel like you were there and you saw like, bro, he just shot him. He's in handcuffs. Like, what's going on? So that scene really was really impactful, and it was so much emotion in that scene, bro. That was the best scene. The
Yeah.
best scene. That was, yeah, man. Michael G. Jordan played his butt off, bro.
My goodness, man.
He played his butt off.
It's really astounding. And another actress you mentioned with Octavia Spencer and her role, like the feeling of like a mother with her son in a situation like that, because like I feel like there are different actresses you could have picked, but she really was the perfect fit for this. Like
Yes.
I thought it was the casting was so good in it for her. Like, what were your thoughts on her performance and also just like obviously the career she's had in the past?
She spoiled us too. Like, excuse me, she
Yeah.
spoiled us too. Her performance was really real good, but I expect that from her. I've seen her in countless films. She can portray every emotion on the spectrum. She brings a different element to the acting role, especially was what she was she was the cool. They used to go to her basement or whatever. It came. It
Oh,
was a
and
horror
Ma,
film.
and
And
Ma,
it
yeah.
yes, that film was so dope. Like, it's just, and then obviously when she put actual poop in
Oh my goodness,
what was the
man. The
movie?
help, the help.
The Help. Like, she could breathe. Like, she could bring the humor side. She could bring, like, it's just like her
Yeah.
performance is always dope. Whether it's a supporting role, lead role, supporting role,
Mhm.
like, she just brings that different element to it. She's definitely gifted as well.
Yeah, definitely. And now getting into memorable quotes. I had "What's your resolution?" from Oscar. Also, it only takes 30 days to form a habit, and then it becomes a second nature from Sofina. You gotta let me hug him, and also he didn't like to be alone, which was kind of at the end when when the mother saw Oscar, and just that feeling of that actual realization of the tragedy that had happened. Like, but to you, kind of like, what were some of your memorable quotes in this one, and kind of like the ones that you thought were the most effective?
I always love the interactions with Wanda and Oscar, that mom, and especially when they were in the jail, and she was just like, I'm not coming for these visits anymore, because some mamas would do it. I know my mama said, if I ever went to jail or did, like, she's not coming to visit me or visit anybody. Like, most
That's
mama's
so
not
funny.
gonna go there. But I love the way she put a fire on this. But, like, you're gonna put um Tatiana through this. Like, this is not fair. That interaction, and then when Sofina told her that they shot Oscar, she was on go. She was on go mode.
Yeah.
I'm on the way, and then she hung up. Like, I love that mama, um, that mama side that she brings to it.
Hmm.
She portrays it. I mean, obviously she got kids herself, but
Yeah.
she's a real
He's a
mama.
real mom. Yeah.
Real mama. But I love her interactions with Oscar. It just, reminds you of that true, authentic mother son relationship. Like, I love you, but I'm not gonna keep doing this.
Hmm.
You not go,
I'm not gonna
you not
enable
gonna
you.
keep, yeah, you
Yeah.
not gonna keep talking about you not gonna do this and do it. I'm tired of this. And you got a daughter.
Yeah. She went off.
No, she did.
She really went off.
She went off her buddy.
And now getting into kind of like what did you like the most about the storyline? To me, like again, with the fact that these real life elements of you know unfortunate and unjustified tragedy happening, like Ryan Coogler, I think he made the Oscar getting shot such, and obviously Michael B. Jordan had to portray it, but made it everything feel so real in a raw
Yes.
sense. Like the way, like the last time I watched this movie, at the end of it, it's just I didn't want to do anything else. I just literally just wanted to kind of like think about like just hey, this is what real life is, especially when you're a young black man in America and you
Yes.
can, and like that's a thing. Like, and I hate to say this, a thing that can happen to any of us. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because like you literally never know what wrong situation you could be put in. But what did
Mhm.
you kind of? What was the particular element of this storyline that you liked the most?
Besides that he made you feel everything and take it away, and then at the tail end what you felt throughout the film, the foundation of just that empathy and that sympathy combined.
Right.
He made you feel both of them for a long period of times at the end. I love that he puts you through every emotion. And then at the tail end, I'm gonna make you feel all of it at the same time again at the end. And
Mm.
then it was shot beautifully. I
Oh
mean,
yes.
it was shot so dope, man. And I love seeing Oakland. I like California. I like Oakland to be specific. Oakland has definitely some beautiful scenery outside of what the hood stuff. But I love how he portrayed the hood and how he shot it, how he used the station to bring out a different element, especially right before the fight. It was just like it was shot beautifully, and to make this, this is like his one of his first like debut films, and it made
Man,
$17.4 million, 900,000 budget. That's crazy.
that's absolutely insane. Like, do you think it's like how much do you think like Ryan Coogler, do you feel as though he kind of also like I know every director has to, but do you think like it was one of those things where look, I've got to study the environment, I've got to study Oakland, I got to be around this area for a long time to like
Yes.
really make sure I pinpoint every accurate shot to like you said, like make it feel real and just develop a beautifully shot film.
Oh, for sure. You have to go you have to go into it before you even, pitch it. You got to feel what you're going to try to bring to the table.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people from Oakland, California probably watch this film because they know about it
Oh yeah.
because it's in their community, and to be say, okay, he got that right. Okay, he got that right. So
Yeah.
doing your research on these scenes, or I mean, well, these I forgot what they call them, the political I'm just gonna say the spots that you're gonna shoot
Spot.
in.
Yeah.
There's another terminology that I know, but I just can't remember it.
Mhm.
And then what comes to mind, he went through this in a certain way at the Bank of America.
Yes, man, that's wild.
Full circle.
You know how I just said we can go through it at any point?
Any
Like
point. And
literally.
it just dawned on me he went through that. He just didn't get shot.
Man. But getting to our last topic, 10 years from now, will this still be a watchable and intriguing movie? Like, how do you think this movie will age? Because, like, obviously, like, it was 2013. It's been past the decade mark. But, like, how do you feel as though, like, the message of this movie and kind of, like, what it communicated will still go on? Because, like we said, it's real life scenarios, things that
Yes.
we see every day and can still be conveyed in a realistic sense.
And I think it's just that. I mean, if you there's a lot of elements to where you will want to watch this film. One is educational,
Right.
and it creates awareness for young black men, um, and just like that relationship between blacks and the police department, police officers.
Mhm.
It brings mostly awareness, and it shows you that it can happen to anybody. Obviously, it happened to Ryan Coogler later down the road. As just him, not just him like being on a movie or
Right.
whatever, just him in the Westcom was at a bank. The scenario is different, but the foundation in the Westcom was the same.
Similar.
Yeah. So I think that most of it is awareness to always you for us, we only can play defense. We have to, be aware of our surroundings. And this film will definitely show you the aware surroundings and how hard life can be for
Yeah,
sure. And sometimes
definitely.
when you want to do right, some things just don't happen the way you want it to happen. But I just for the most part, it's awareness, and then obviously Michael B. Jordan, Ryan Coogler, Octavia Spencer, those great actors in this film, kind of bring it out, and I think it's always going to be rewatchable. But you gotta guard your heart a little bit when you watch this because you're
It
emotion
is.
can
You got to
be,
prepare yourself.
yeah,
Yeah, you really have to
mhm,
prepare yourself. You can't just go in it just any way. You got to really be like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I'm about to watch something really heavy, and I got to have the right mindset while I'm
always.
while I'm watching it."
Definitely heavy. That's a good way to put it. It's real. Yeah, it's definitely heavy. Mm.
Yeah. And before we close out, like looking at Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler working together so much, even after this, like they it seemed like they really can connect, and we've seen actor director duos many times, but what are your thoughts on this duo and how they can communicate and really like just relate to each other even years after this film?
I love it because it's not a same film over and over. Like you get directors and actors who play the get them to play like Martin Scorsese and Robert De Niro.
Yeah, we always mention
We,
it.
we get the same thing, or
Hey,
Joe
hey,
Pesci.
you're gonna do the same movie. You ready?
Bro, everything. Like, sorry, my brother just texted me, love the podcast, but the Drake hate has to stop.
Look, thank you. Man. We gotta get him on because her loss is fire. I'm gonna leave it later. I'm gonna leave it later.
Man, listen. But no, I forgot what we were talking.
Well, what brothers do.
Right. I need to
The
turn this
Michael B.
watch
Jordan,
off.
Ryan Coogler duo. How you kind
Oh,
of feel about? Yeah.
thank you. I love it because they do different type of films. Obviously, this one's more heavy. Then you do the superhero villain. You know, he's the villain. He brings that out, and he does a couple other films. I love that they're not sticking to one genre like some of these other duos do. You know what I mean? Like you look at even Jordan Peele and I forgot the gentleman's name. Daniel
Dan Kaluuya.
Daniel Kaluuya,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
And Nope
always a
and Get Out.
horror. Yeah, it's always a horror film or something like that. So I love the way they're versatile in their collaborations, not just one genre that they stick with. They can do the whole spectrum.
Yes, that's really amazing. Well, that wraps it up for tonight. I'm host Winter Burns, my counterpart Savon Morris. This has been Full Scope. See you later.